Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, we've got something super fascinating to unpack today. We're looking at a presentation from a real estate platform called Kemedar, and they're pitching a totally new paradigm for urban living. They call it Dafa Homes. If you're into architecture, smart tech, or just how social economics shapes our world, you are going to love this. The pitch basically says, hey, let's stop building these sprawling traditional apartments and shift toward hyper-efficient tech-enabled micro-communities.
So, how do we actually solve the housing crisis, particularly in the Arab world, which is the focus of this pitch? Well, the presentation starts by pointing out this really frustrating gap. Right? On one hand, young people want what we all want, a safe, high-end, healthy place to start their lives. But then, boom, reality hits. Traditional developers are just building these massive, incredibly expensive units. It makes homeownership almost impossible for the average young person. Dafa Homes is pitching itself as the ultimate bridge across that exact gap.
Quick look at the roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll hit the housing market gap, then the core Dafa Homes concept. After that, we'll dive into the tech, the shared spaces, how they engineer the communities, and finally, the money, the investment model.
Section 1. The Housing Market Gap. Rethinking Traditional Real Estate.
Section 2. The Dafa Homes Concept. Micro-living built for renting.
Okay, so the core argument here is that society is becoming way more individualistic. To keep up, Kemedar is proposing this highly standardized franchise model of micro-apartments. And here's the kicker. These entire buildings are constructed from day one purely for long-term renting. They aren't selling individual units outright. It's really about housing as a service, completely dodging that massive upfront down payment. Now, for their first phase, the magic number is 35. That's a maximum footprint of just 35 square meters. Seriously, just pause for a second. Imagine a married couple trying to live comfortably in 35 square meters without, feeling totally suffocated.
Section 3. Technology and smart spaces. Maximizing every meter.
So how do you make 35 square meters actually work? You go digital. The presentation leans heavily into complete smart home integration. Tenants literally control their entire environment right from an app. Climate, lighting, energy, the whole shebang. And forget keys. You walk up, and it uses facial recognition or palm biometrics to let you in. It's not just a sci-fi gimmick. It streamlines the living experience and gives these super dense residential blocks legit hotel-level security.
Plus, when your total space is the size of a large hotel room, spaces have to pull double duty. You can't just have a room that's only a living room. The physical space actually has to adapt to your immediate needs. The pitch details smart convertible furniture. Think sofa beds that fold away seamlessly, and movable wooden partition walls. Basically, a couple can open the whole place up during the day and then literally slide a wall closed to carve out a private bedroom if they've got guests or a kid.
Even the architecture is hacking the space. Instead of traditional outdoor balconies that eat up valuable square footage, they use deep structural bay windows. You still get that psychological boost and the nice view of a balcony, but the space stays climate-controlled and totally usable year-round as extra seating or storage. It's a pretty clever trick.
Section 4. Shared spaces and amenities. The co-living ecosystem.
Now, the obvious trade-off for a tiny private apartment is the massive shared ecosystem you get access to. Your 35 square meters is just your private pod. The ground floor and the rooftop basically become extensions of your living room. The list of amenities in this pitch is wild. We're talking covered swimming pools, gyms with both mixed and single-gender options, co-working spaces you can rent by the hour with a smart card. There are coffee shops, family restaurants, hourly rental rooms for guests, and even highly practical stuff like on-site sewage treatment to keep maintenance costs down. Oh, and a resident family doctor with an actual clinic right in the building.
But maybe the most unique shared thing? A massive commercial-grade kitchen on every single floor. Since the private apartments just have tiny kitchenettes, if you want to, say, bake something big or host a dinner party, you just walk down the hall and use this shared commercial oven. It's a very communal approach to everyday chores.
The building operations are also hyper-modern. Take food and package deliveries, for example. To keep the residential floors completely secure, delivery drivers never actually go upstairs. They drop the items at the main reception, the receptionist pays them, and the food gets loaded into a dedicated internal dumbwaiter, or a literal robot. It operates a lot like logistics in a modern hospital or an Amazon warehouse, and the delivery just rides up to your floor automatically. No strangers wandering the halls.
Section 5. Customized and safe communities. Social engineering.
Okay, this part is really interesting. The source outlines a very deliberate approach to social engineering to make sure people live harmoniously. They want to create environments where people feel totally comfortable, so they use targeted demographic clustering. For example, the developer plans to designate specific top floors exclusively for women. Or they might tailor an entire building for a specific group, like building one right next to a corporate park just for that company's workers, or outfitting a whole building exclusively for university students or expats.
And the social strategy actually goes beyond just who you live next to. They even pitch a marriage matchmaking initiative. They envision a socially vetted database bound by a strict code of ethics to help young tenants meet and marry. Think about it. Culturally, having to buy a big, expensive house outright is a massive roadblock to getting married for this demographic. By offering this affordable rental model instead, the pitch argues that a groom really only needs a reliable job to pay rent, the traditional dowry, and some basic clothes to secure housing and start a family. It's a fascinating structural attempt to lower the economic barriers to marriage.
Section 6. The investment and finance model, crowdfunding and REITs. All right, packing 120 microunits onto a single floor takes serious capital. So how is this dense model actually financially viable? Well, the engine here rests on three main pillars. First, real estate investment trusts, or REITs. This lets smaller retail investors buy fractional shares, pumping huge capital into the developer while keeping individual risk low. Second, they're using a bespoke peer-to-peer crowdfunding platform, decentralizing the construction funding entirely. And third, for the tenants themselves, it's a rent-to-own model. Over time, as you pay rent, the company's ownership share shrinks and yours grows. You're actually building equity instead of just burning cash every month.
Of course, to assure those investors and tenants that this isn't just a house of cards, the source explicitly guarantees high-end structural security alongside the affordability. The presentation specifically mandates physical safety features like iron mesh reinforced in the building shafts to protect against earthquakes, and special safety sliders on all the windows so you can easily escape in a fire. Structural security is definitely a priority.
Which brings us to our final thought. We've seen the 35 square meter layouts, the smart tech, the shared commercial kitchens, the demographic matching, and that crowd-funded financial engine. So what do you think? Is this kind of hyper-efficient, decentralized, community-driven micro-living the inevitable future of urban development, not just in the Arab world, but maybe globally? It's a compelling vision, and it absolutely challenges everything we've traditionally thought a home needs to be. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this helped you understand the blueprint of tomorrow's cities. See you next time.